Arkansas's most abundant natural resource provides the core asset for Delta Timber Corporation. In addition to the sustainable yield stewardship of its well-stocked timberlands, Deltic adds value by integrating its efficient wood products manufacturing facilities, as well as through planned development of commercial and residential real estate. Deltic Timber Corporation, creating value for a growing Arkansas.
Well, we've seen no shortage of money in political advertising this year. Just how much has been spent? How much more is to come? And can it make a difference in a race like the Attorney General runoff, where we're seeing one outside group play? Joining me to talk politics is KATV's Janelle Lilley and Elicia Dover, two women with a nose for political news. Thank you for being here, both of you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's recap the Attorney General's runoff race this week, Elicia. It's been filled with drama and plenty of accusations back and forth.
Yes, it has been a week of he said, she said, and I have been following every one of those comments that have been coming from either one of them. This week, Sterling came out with some comments against Leslie Rutledge, saying several accusations against her, one of them being that she voted in many Democratic primaries. So that was interesting. He said from 1998 to 2008, she voted in all Democratic primaries. He also said she didn't vote in 2010 and 2012, and also said that she donated to the Democratic Party. And that, of course, caught everyone's eye because, well, she's a Republican candidate,
right.
So that's pretty interesting.
She did vote in those Democratic primaries in those early years, but 2010 and 2012, she was in another state.
She was a Virginia voter in 2010 and 2012 is what she told me, because she was working for the RNC at the time, trying to get those Republican candidates elected. She also, she did say she did vote for Democrats. Sometimes she said there wasn't a Republican on the ballot. She was voting for a friend. You know, plenty of excuses, right. But she did admit to it. And then also the donation to the Democratic Party, not directly. What happened was she went to Mike Beebe's Governor Ball after trying to get Asa Hutchinson elected, is what she said, and paid for that entry, and which of course went to the DPA. Yeah,
I don't think anybody really counted on that. So what was your take on just this week and its exchange and how heated it got? So there's an ad that started running as well.
Yeah, the ad was really interesting, and you know, we've been seeing a ton of these ads, but going into just a runoff election, the introduction of a new ad is something I don't think you see very often. Usually you just make it through the primary and then you rehash those ads again. So the
Nancy Pelosi apparently, Elicia, is running for something in the state of Arkansas.
And Barack Obama. I think he's running for governor.
I think so. Actually, my favorite tweet of the week showed Nancy Pelosi, Barack Obama, and Eric Holder and said, "Insert Arkansas candidate here." And I think that that's very accurate at this point. The Judicial Crisis Network has been putting out TV ad, radio, mailer, and all of those connecting her to Barack Obama, Eric Holder, Nancy Pelosi for being against the Stand Your Ground law, which we know is not in Arkansas.
Yeah, and we still don't really know what the motivation is for this group behind that. We may eventually find out on that.
Dropping a new mailer now this week.
Let's look at the runoff map here. So we've got to progress a little bit long for our roundtable here. We've got, when you look at it, Leslie Rutledge won about 9 percentage points over David Sterling, but she's in the blue right there. She won heavy counties in central Arkansas, even down into South Arkansas, where there's some big Republican trends, particularly Saline and Garland County, which we'll come back to, and up in northwest Arkansas, too. Now, there's a runoff up in the northern part of the state where you see David Sterling performed well in those yellow counties up there, but not so much in some of those other areas.
And you've got those runoffs in Saline County and Garland County, and big races that those voters will go out to the polls, and that's always the biggest trouble, right, in these runoff elections, is getting voters to the polls.
Yeah, I mean, in a runoff election, you want to isolate where the local runoffs are going to be. You want to find a way to get your voters to turn out there. Look at that map, and I see a slight advantage for Leslie Rutledge in terms of where the runoffs are going to be and where she performed well. But the money that David Sterling's got behind him, I think that's really, it's impossible to predict. And so we're either going to look at it in the day after and say the money won the race for David Sterling, or the runoff strategy won for Leslie Rutledge.
Well, since we're talking about money, we have been looking into the money that's being spent in the advertising of local media and the ad buys, and one of the biggest numbers that we've seen, $6.8 million just this year, just so far
Just
this
in the
year.
Little Rock market.
Just in Little Rock. We're not even talking about Fayetteville. We're not talking about Jonesboro, any of those others. Just this year, and that's for all candidates.
There's even been some political spending in not in the Shreveport market, in the Memphis market, in the Springfield
But those aren't
market.
included in these numbers. And so what's so amazing about these numbers is 5.1 of that is outside money, and a total for the candidate spending is 1.7 million. So when you look at 1.7 million versus 5.1 million, it's almost like it pales in comparison.
And that's not even 2013 numbers either.
No, that's literally just for this year.
So we got some other money too.
Yeah, some other money. We're looking at the Senate race as well. We got some new numbers in from that. Democratic aligned groups spent 2.74 million, GOP 3.43, and there's been some back and forth from different groups about whether these are our numbers that we gathered, so no one's influenced them at all.
And
so
again, that doesn't include 2013.
Nope, just this so far this year.
Doesn't include candidate spending in those numbers either.
These are just outside groups, democratically aligned groups or GOP aligned groups. Yep, total of 6.17 just in the Senate race, which is just amazing.
And it's going to get even bigger.
Yeah, it's going to get even bigger, especially in the last 2 weeks. And I think these are the numbers that stood out to me the most when I was going through them. The final 2 weeks of the campaign, you're looking at big media buys by the NRSC.
This money's already been booked.
Yeah.
Yep.
DSCC, DCCC. I mean, you're looking at total $3.45 million in 2 weeks before the end of the campaign.
That does not include any candidate spending.
Nope.
That does not include outside of the Little Rock TV market either. So
and,
wow.
What I'm left wondering is knowing that in just 2 weeks, I mean, you're talking 14 days before the end of it, how much ad space is left for candidates who want to buy? Because these obviously are national organizations. They're going to be looking at the national campaigns. What about the local campaigns? I mean, how much media space is there left?
They'll find room, trust me. They'll find room. But I think what you see in that back end purchase right there that's already been booked, that almost $3.5 million, that tells you that the National Republican Senate Committee, the Democratic Senate Committee, right now views that race between Cotton and Pryor as extremely close. If they're already booking time for those last 2 weeks of the campaign, they're expecting this race, and their polling is showing that this race is really close. So when we see these things wide either way, but now they can move their money around. That is one of the things they can do. They can pull out and go somewhere else. I think the DCCC money is another interesting one. It's not a big buy.
No, $386,000.
It's significant, but that tells me too that they're playing either in the 2nd District congressional race or the 4th District congressional race, because you got to buy Little Rock market for both those. You got to buy it for the 1st District too.
Sure,
but I think we've seen a pretty competitive 4th and 2nd potential there.
Well, more money, more numbers to come so far just this year. Amazing.
I am stunned by all that.
It is
all right.
interesting. Shows you just where the race is right now.
Anybody want to make a prediction for Tuesday's runoff?
I don't think I'm going to.
All right, we got to wrap it up. Thank you very much, Elicia Dover, Janelle Lilley. Thank you for being here.